Before I expound on the word, I'd like to take a moment of privilege. I'm experiencing a lot of last things as I go toward retirement, and I sat here this morning, sitting here this morning and looking at the palm fronds on the carpet. And for the last 26 years, I've faithfully gathered those up after every Palm Sunday worship service and saved them to burn for the ashes for Ash Wednesday. And I realized that today I'll be picking up the palm fronds, gathering them up, and putting them in the closet here in my office for someone else to burn, for someone else to impose other than myself. I rejoice that I've reached that stage, but there is some grieving that takes place as well. I laugh and talk about looking forward to retirement, and I am. But there's an empty place as well. And only God can fill that empty place, and I know that God will. So thanks for allowing me to share that with you this morning. But back to our scripture text for today. So this is Palm Sunday. But how do we really know that Jesus' entry into Jerusalem took place on Sunday? Now you might think that the Gospels tell us that, but they don't. And so to say that Jesus entered into Jerusalem on Sunday is largely a tradition based on an assumption about the year that Jesus died. And the fact that all four of the Gospels agree that, and also that all four of the Gospels agree that the crucifixion took place on Friday of that week. But let's not get burdened with details this morning and just put it out there. There are some biblical scholars who have suggested that the procession into Jerusalem took place on Monday. But of course, what day of the week that it took place doesn't really matter a whole lot, except perhaps from the perspective of the people who rejoiced when Jesus rode into the city on that day. If it was Monday, it was a weekday, not the Sabbath, for which for the Jews was from sundown on Friday to sundown on Saturday. Thus, it certainly wasn't a holy day in the religious sense of the term. And if it was Sunday, it still wasn't a holy religious day like Sunday would have been. Like Sunday is for us. If you rode into Jerusalem on Sunday, it wasn't a religious day for the Jews like it is for you and I. Sunday would have been like our Monday, the first day of the work week, the day after the Sabbath rest, which ended on Saturday evening. It was time to sweep the stoop. It was time to open the shop, wash the clothes, go to the market, repair the ox cart, get bread in the oven, and deal with matters that were left over from the previous week that had been put aside for the Sabbath, and so forth. And besides, there was Passover coming in a few days, and there was lots to do. Regardless of the actual day of the week. For the people who greeted Jesus as he rode into the city, it was a Monday-ish kind of day. For us, there's a sense that Monday, as the first day of the work week, symbolizes the business of life continuing or resuming after a brief weekend or a Sabbath pause. life going on, things getting back to normal, back to routine. You know, many people find it hard to drag themselves back to work on Mondays. The carpenter's saying, rainy days and Mondays always get me down. Rainy days and Mondays always get me down. Then I remember the mamas and the papas singing, Monday, Monday, you can't trust that day. For many people, though, Monday's a pleasure. A day to attack what needs to be done, to jump back in with both feet, to crank things up again. So what was Jesus doing on that day? Why would he make a gesture so dramatic that the crowds went wild and praised God? And the Pharisees, seeing this, asked Jesus to stop the people and by implication to reject the accolades the people were throwing and heaping upon Jesus. What was Jesus thinking? You know, Jesus didn't slip quietly into town under the cover of darkness with a team of highly trained operatives whose former occupation was fishing for perch in the Sea of Galilee. No, Jesus entered in plain sight on a busy work day. It was an overt, not a covert operation. And why did Jesus follow it the next day with a dramatic public act? If the youth had read a little further, you would have found that the next day, Jesus cleanses the temple, where he literally whipped the place into a frenzy. We don't know Jesus' motivation, but it does seem that Jesus is forcing the authorities to deal with him. Jesus is forcing them to deal with him. Go big or go home. And Jesus went big. He was lighting a fuse that later in the week would go off with the bang of a soldier's hammers as they drove the nails into his hands and his feet. Both the entry into Jerusalem and the frenzy in the temple defy the Monday-minded. No, you can't carry on as usual. He seems to be shouting out, my kingdom is not of this world, so don't lose it in the mundane of Monday. His behavior sort of doesn't make sense. You know, usually Jesus didn't want to be the center of attention. You know, often like after he healed someone, he would caution them, that excited person, don't tell anyone about this. But maybe that's the point. Jesus took dramatic, out of character steps to make something happen. Not his death, but something else. All four Gospels tell the Palm Sunday story. And the lectionary's choice this year is from the Gospel of Luke. But in Matthew's version, he adds a comment that Jesus' actions in choosing to ride a donkey with her colt fulfills the words of the prophet Zechariah. And there he says, shout aloud, O daughter Jerusalem, lo, your king comes to you triumphant and victorious. He is humble and riding on a donkey, a colt, the foal of a donkey. But why? Zechariah goes on to say in the 9th chapter, verses 9 and 10, this is why. To cut off the chariot of Ephraim, and the war horse from Jerusalem, and the battle bow shall be cut off, and he will command peace to the nations. He will command peace to the nations. Contrast Pilate on his stallion as he rides into Jerusalem with Jesus on a nursing donkey mare with her colt beside her. And you see the intended message. Peace on earth. Yes, but not peace by Rome's violent victory. Rather, peace by God's nonviolent justice. Likewise, Jesus also forced the issue when he created a disturbance in the temple by driving out the sellers and the money changers. He acted out a parable. Jesus was acting out a parable when he did that. The temple was the house of God for all the nations. But the temple and its high priest were allowed to function only under the control of Rome. And Jesus' action with the whip declared this was unacceptable to God. In both cases, Jesus was forcing the issue. You know, we live in an age when a lot of issues need to be forced into the Mondays of life. You know, we may not like it, but issues have been forced, and we're compelled to address them or ignore them. I think of one, the hashtag #MeToo movement, for example, has exposed the prevalence of sexual harassment and sexual assault in the workplace and other environments. Oh, but some of us may not like that, but did you know that the church has its own version of the hashtag #MeToo? And it's called hashtag silence is not spiritual. We see it being forced with the brothers and sisters of some of our neighbors of the Catholic, Roman Catholic persuasion right now. Their church is in a turmoil. Issues are being forced. They have been and will continue to be forced in the United Methodist Church. You know, we're forced to address the issues raised by whistleblowers. Employees or outsiders who become aware of wrongdoing or dangerous practices within a corporation or an agency or even a church. And often make the information public so it can be stopped. We can't ignore protesters who put themselves in legal jeopardy or risk physical violence to say that something isn't right, that something isn't fair, that it isn't for the common good, it isn't pleasing to God. I think of the 2 Catholic nuns that I knew and worked with down in Kermit, West Virginia, who are arrested just about every year for protesting at the Army's War College, where despots, police, and military officials receive training. Almost every year these 2 nuns were handcuffed and led off to jail. And these are some examples. Only some. You can probably name others. What issues would Jesus force us to consider on our Palm Monday? This is for you, Sally. Might it be the politicizing of migrant children on our southern borders? Might it be that? When Jesus rides into our lives, whether in church on Sunday or on a street on Monday, he also forces issues on us. Issues maybe we just as well ignore and not deal with. Jesus calls us to make a decision to follow him. not any particular political party or organization. Follow Jesus. To trust him. And maybe even confront injustice, expose danger, or challenging arrogance that rides over others. Think about what Jesus might be calling you to face on this Palm Sunday.